Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 35, Memorial Day 2021. This is James. This is a pretty hard day for me sometimes when I sit down and think about it. Most of you know I served almost 25 years on active duty, and I got multiple combat tours. I've known several people that by name, and then I've seen the end result of so many other bad things. But this is Memorial Day, so we have this day designated so we remember the war dead in our country over the last 200 and something years. Memorial Day began in May 8th, 1868 by Major General Logan. It was called Decoration Day back then. It was celebrated on both Confederate war dead and Union war dead, and it just kept the tradition going every May throughout the ages. In 1968, it was changed to Memorial Day, and it was designated to be on the last Monday of May every year after that, starting in 1971. It's called the Uniform Federal Holiday Act that they have, so to ensure that union members and they get the days off can get 3 consecutive weekend holidays. So, but that's all right. When I think about Memorial Day, I think about that. I'm gonna go through some pictures and stuff, so people will know what everything happens. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, okay? We won't go too far into that since this is the one show about Memorial Day. So there's my first one. It's in the side of a C-17. Okay, so this is the 3 main people that I actually know. That I knew all 3 of them. From time to time I was stationed with them, and I carry their bracelets. It's not a stock photo, so there's Sergeant DeCrow's. There's Captain Norman's. And there's Mort's. Okay. I still wear them from time to time, but I mainly keep them up so I don't damage them. I don't have to wear a bracelet to remember people I knew. I'm going to go through some more pictures so y'all know what some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about throughout the history of our country. This is why we have Decoration Day / Memorial Day. You can look through the pictures I have here. This is talking about the number of people that have died fighting for our country, and you can see that it is a drastic number. Okay, if you took the American Civil War, which cost over 600,000 lives, and then the rest of the wars in our country, you would look, it's like almost 1.3 million men and women, black, white, brown, have given their life for our country. Okay. It's us soldiers that pay the price. So when I say soldiers, that's inclusive of the Marines and the Navy. Okay. So don't think I'm all biased toward the Army, which to a point I am. Okay. Yeah, I'm a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I have been for many years. And they're not an Army establishment. They're a military establishment for veterans to be able to get together and chill. Okay, fight for rights of veterans out there. There's a lot of us. I mean, we have 1.3 million that has died in the service of our country. But that number of active duty, the number of veterans out there is roughly about maybe 1.5% of our total population of our country. So you're talking about 1%, just over maybe 4 million veterans in our country. Okay. That's not very much, but we have a smaller and all volunteer force these days. So when you look at the Civil War, World War II, World War I, and Korea, Vietnam, Revolutionary War, War of 18, all those wars are when we required conscription drafts. Okay, the one war on the war on terror is the only one that we actually fought that didn't require a draft, and we had roughly about 7,000 casualties in there. Okay, so the main meat of the podcast is this is John Morton. I first met John in ADOC, our Advanced Non-Commissioned Officers course, in February, November of 2004, and our school lasted until April of 2005. He was stationed in Vicenza, Italy. I was stationed at Camp David, Maryland, but all group of 20 of us. We formed a core group as our small group in ANOC. That's where when you make sergeant first class, you go and get your advanced training. In my MOS, I was a Lima, a 25 Lima. And what we did when we made E7, we combined with 4 other MOSs, military occupation specialties. Now, he I believe he was a 25 Charlie, and I was a 25 Lima. But, when we get up there at that area, they combine them all. So we're responsible for knowing all 5 MOSs. Well, Mort, I knew for those 5 months, and he used to send us emails after graduation. And as you can tell, he's airborne. He was in the 75th Long Range Surveillance Detachment in Vicenza. He was their communications NCO. His job was to make sure all the people in his detachment could effectively, strategically, and tactfully be able to communicate between elements of the upper echelon and them. On the 15th of December, from what I was told, he volunteered to go out on a long-range surveillance patrol in Shah-Walikat, Afghanistan. And in the midst of the patrol, he got engaged in what I was told was an ambush with Al Qaeda members. He got shot and he died. I remember that most effectively because Jonathan. Oh man, I can't remember John's last name, but he called me at 2:30 in the morning to let me know what had happened, and he needed assistance, letting the other members of our ANOC group know what was going on, and he also needed some assistance making phone calls into the state, so I helped them out with that part. That was the first funeral I ever went to at Arlington National Cemetery and it's one you don't forget if you've never been to Arlington. I had been there once, but not for a funeral. But he was a really good guy. He'd do anything for you. My wife and kids met him once when we were in Enoch. But that was a shocker, and that was a very memorable ceremony. He's buried in Section 60 at Arlington National Cemetery. Boy, he was a good guy. We won't forget him. So the next guy is Captain Michael Norman. I live in the Killeen metro area. I live in Coppers Cove. I'd never been here except for when I went to training at Fort Hood. But Mike here, he grew up in Killeen. His mom's passed away about a year ago, but his dad and mom lived in Georgetown, which is south of here. But I met Captain Norman when we were training up at Fort Riley in 2007. We had to do a 90-day training period for all transition team members. We so we could train Iraqis, but we transitioned to be military transition team in January and February of 2008. But with him, he was on 3rd Brigade, 3rd Battalion, 8th Brigade, 2nd National Police transition team. When so he was on. I had just left for R&R on the 31st of January. I found out about him being killed when I was at Ali al-Salim, and that totally knocked me off my kilt. I mean, I didn't expect that the day that I was actually leaving. But him and his transition team was traveling on routes Vernon and Oilers, and they had just passed an Iraqi police headquarters unit, and an IED blew up. His patrol, not his patrol, his medic froze in the midst of everything that had happened, and another security person from their transition team had to render aid to him, but he had passed away. But he is buried at Central Texas Veterans Cemetery, Section 1, marker 382 at the cemetery, and you can see what his unit number was, 382. It was his NCOIC, his Sergeant Major, was telling me that was by accident. Nobody knew that was really going to happen. So if you ever want to look for Captain Norman, that's where he's buried at, here in Killeen, Texas. That's his gravestone. He was really young. I go out there to the cemetery and visit his stone every now and then. I know lots of people buried out there. We'll be neighbors one day. Then we have Major Alan Rogers. He was headquartered at Fob Rustamaya in Iraq. I think I've only met him once, but he was in charge of, he was the military intelligence officer for the 2nd Brigade Nippet National Police Transition Team. And our transition team was 8th Brigade. I made a mistake on his 2nd Division Nippet, but I was on the 8th Brigade, 2nd Division Nippet. So on the 27th of January, Major Rogers and his transition team was on a mounted combat patrol going down Route Budweiser. And we were already at the old Ministry of Defense, it's called Old Mod, for a coalition meeting between Iraqi counterparts and transition teams. And while they were taking the exit ramp off of Route Budweiser, he got hit by an IED, and they transported him into another vehicle and got him to the OMOD, and he died. He died pretty fast. And I forgot. I don't want to really get into that, but yeah, he passed away. That was in that day, that month. We lost Captain Norman was an MI officer. Major Rogers was an MI officer, and north of where we were at, there was another MI officer that was killed in gunfire. His detachment commander got out of his vehicle and got ambushed after he was told not to get out of the vehicle. And then his MI officer, which was another captain, got out and died in exchange of gunfire trying to rescue his colonel. Some of us guys do crazy things, but bravery. The difference between bravery and cowardice is a minute second, because nobody, and I don't care what they say, nobody can tell you what they'll do in the instance when they're fired upon, because we have this fight or flight mechanism in our body that you can fight it, but it's going to tell you what it's going to do. Okay. PFC Corey Hicks. And Corey, I've never met Corey. I was there when he died, but I've never met Corey. He was stationed at Fort Hood. He died on the 2nd of May, 2008. He was part of the 1st of the 66th Armor, 4th Infantry Division, 3rd Brigade, 4th Infantry Division, 166 Armor, a good friend of mine, Sergeant First Class retired. Claude Hatch, oh man, me and him, we were recruiters together, but he was at the Brigade S3 office when we were in Iraq. They were our higher echelon after the 82nd had left. But PFC Hicks, he was in a RG-31 and doing route clearance for us. We were on our way to buy out Baghdad International Airport to exchange our Humvees for MRAPs. And we were on Route Predators, and we were going southbound. It was late in the afternoon, and we were halfway down Route Predators in New Baghdad, and his vehicle got hit by EFP. Not only did his vehicle get hit by EFP, it got hit by 2 EFPs. And I remember that his vehicle was maybe 250 yards in front of ours. So we saw when the vehicle went up in flames, we saw the Bradleys when they totally, utterly destroyed a building just to the left of them, because they thought that was where the commandant happened, because it wasn't a pressure detonation. Because after the first explosion, there was a second explosion, which meant that somebody was watching the area, so they raked it with Bradley fire from their cannon. But yeah, we saw his vehicle, and that was horrible to be able to drive by. I've seen other stuff, but that was really, really bad. I saw, they call it, it's an interrogator on a route clearance team. It's a guy goes up front, looks like a vehicle that, if you look at a construction crew, it's the planer. But they turn these things in to where they can interrogate IEDs. And he wasn't in that one, but yeah, I saw the after effects with one got hit and burned to the ground, and they had to tow it into Fob Hope. Fob Hope was, if you look at Solder City, it looks like a baseball diamond, and the first base is where Fob Hope is. It was War Eagle back in the early days of Operation Iraqi Freedom. It was known for the Long Road Home was the name of this miniseries. It was about the 1st Cavalry Division got involved in a massive firefight and lost some of the guys, and they had to fend for themselves and work their way out of the situation. But we were in the same area. I spent the whole year in Solder City. But PFC Hicks, they got his name on a plaque over at Central Texas Veteran Cemetery. He's from Arizona, okay, but he was killed on the 2nd of May, 2008. I wish I would have known him, but he was a young soldier. He did his job. Justin DeCrow, Staff Sergeant Justin DeCrow. When I was a platoon sergeant in the 16th Signal Company, Justin came to us from Korea, and he was at Fort Gordon, went to Korea, and then came to Fort Hood because he needed some combat time. So they put him with us because we were getting ready to split ops between Iraq and Afghanistan. And we were leaving in December 2009. So Justin came to us. He was in the 1st platoon, and I was the platoon sergeant for 2nd platoon. On the 5th of November, Justin had sleep apnea, like a lot of us developed, but it was a non-deployable situation unless he had a waiver, and he had to get a CENTCOM waiver to be able to deploy. So on the 5th of November, he was supposed to go on the 6th, but on the 5th of November, he was at the SRP site of Fort Hood to get his a waiver because he heard that it was approved. So he had showed up to go pick it up so he could put it in his SRP packet to be able to go. And that's when the person that I shall not name, because I have uttered no respect for this man. He's a coward. And I wish he would have got the death penalty. But that's when the massacre at Fort Hood happened on the 5th of November. And Justin was caught in the middle of it. He was shot. And then that evil person walked up to him and shot him a 2nd time after he was dead. That came out during the trial. That was a bad time. We were a month away from deployment, and Justin got killed. Guys like that you don't forget. He was really nice. He was bald. They got a memorial at Fort Hood. I should have put the picture in there, or not at Fort Hood, but here in Killeen. It has all the members of the people of the military that was killed that day at Fort Hood. Not only do we have those people to remember, we still have POW MIAs. There's countless thousands of missing in action. And I think there's a couple that are still POWs that we suspect are still alive. But we fly our POW MIA flag because they're never forgotten. Our losses are never forgotten. We always remember them. We have a cool picture right here. So I'm going to tell you a couple more people I know that died before I started doing all these deployments and stuff. 1995, a friend of mine, I was at E5 back then, does PFC Michael Childress. He was a week from being separated from the military, medical separation, and he was clearing, but they needed him to help move some vehicles in a motor pool, and they were moving. He was MLRS, multiple launch rocket system. He was what they call a 13 mic, but they were moving some of their ammo trailers in a motor pool. And 2 NCOs that were supposed to be supervising was in their vehicle, not paying attention, letting these other guys do it. And one of the trailers they were moving was going toward that vehicle out of control. And in Childress, he was trying to stop, and he got too close to the air brakes to try to close off the air brakes. Evidently, the towing pindle was going downhill instead of being on the uphill part. And he got wrapped up in the lines and fell to the ground, and he got impaled by the tires of the trailer, and he died on the way to the hospital. His wife's name was Candace Childress, and I don't know where she lives nowadays, but my wife and I, those two were like the first people we met when we lived in Lawton, at Fort Sill. And then the other person was Staff Sergeant Bartholomew. She died in 2000 up on Tank Hill, Fort Jackson. And we knew her from Fort Gordon when I was an instructor in Cable Dog School. But she had been selected for drill sergeant school and had to go to Fort Jackson for all of her training. And she had a heat stroke during the PT test and died. Her husband and son were awesome people too. And Fort Hood, the deal is when your spouse dies and you got government housing, they allow you to live there for 90 days before they have you leave. I don't know if that policy has changed. We've seen them a few times after she had died. I missed them a lot. She was a really good NCO. So that's the end of the podcast for the day. Remember, you can find me on Parler. You can find me on Facebook. Okay. Sometimes this is really hard to talk about and stuff because what a lot of these men and countless thousands of others have done in their time. There are more people to think about, and we're talking about our war dead now, but also don't forget the other plague we have within our military and our veterans is suicide. And at the count, it's between 20 and 22. We go with 22 a day. Veterans kill themselves every single day. And just reach out to your, if someone you know is a veteran, do a buddy check on them. Just go, hey, just want to check and say hi, see how you're doing. Give them a chance to talk to you, make them feel wanted, because a lot of us regress. We strive on that relationship with people we know. We just ask for your support of all the veterans, so we don't regress what happened back in the 60s and 70s with our military. You should always support us. We supported you. A lot of people gave their lives for you. A lot of people gave their lives so you can go out and do your protests and all the other stuff you want to do. So don't forget about that. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Remember, we're on Rumble and YouTube and Podbean and the countless others. You can always write me at JP8 Report at gmail.com. That's my email address. Leave comments. They're cool. They keep us all going. I'll do a better one for my next podcast, but this was hard to talk about. So look, I'm not going to say go out and have a great day tomorrow, which is actual Memorial Day. But I heard Joey Jones, he was a Marine Corps EOD tech yesterday. He was talking like, look, we're not telling you not to go out and have your barbecues and celebrate and have fun. Just remember the reason why it happened, and not to be shamed in having those barbecues, but remember the soldiers that died to give you that right. And I'm not even going to go into what Kamala Harris said yesterday. But just remember those people like Morton, Norman, Major Rogers, Hicks, DeCrow, Childress, Bartholomew, all those people I named today that died in the service of the country. Okay, and just do a buddy check to see how your spouse's those gold stars are doing. Okay, and I'll talk to y'all later. This is James with the JP8 Report. I'll see you on the flip side.